Hi, my name is Chuck McGrath. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com, and I host on the Rinse Radio Network. That's yours truly behind me. Being interviewed by Liz Wall in February of 2012. The topic was Stratford, the corruption, the privatization of our security industrial complex, selling that information and making a fat profit off of 9/11, the Patriot Act, and everything that RT covers, those type of stories like this. Right, when they're exposing corruption between special interest, corporate special interest, and government, when they're exposing the lies that are leading this nation into war, when they're talking about things that our own media will not touch with a 10-foot pole, RT is talking about it. Now, I was in, we talked about this on Doomcast the other night, Liz Wall bailing, and, we joked about it for a minute and then moved on, and that was going to be the end of it. Because it's a non-story. I mean, it's completely and utterly meaningless to me, and it should be meaningless to you unless it really bothers you. But after the Doomcast and this developed for a day or so, the emails started flooding in, and to count at about 47, I think, that are on this topic, and some of them are just ridiculous. I'm a terrorist, I'm a commie, this, that, and the other thing. But some of them are really genuine, and so that's why I'm making this video. Some of you really are concerned that Wide Awake News, that me, were being duped by Russia Today. So let's break it down real quick. Russia Today, and then compare that to what we're dealing with media in our country. Russia Today is funded by the Russian government. Period. That's it. End of story. So yes, is there going to be a bias on their news reporting? Yeah, hello, it's funded by the Russian government. Of course there's going to be a slant to the news that they present. But to think for 1 second that beast doesn't exist anywhere but Russia, and covering for Putin going into Crimea, and for Liz Wall, to an educated lady that's a news presenter for Russia Today for over 2 years, and knowing full well the legitimate information and the truth that network has put out, for her to do that on air. You know what, I have no ill will towards Liz. I wish for the best for her, but let's be really, really honest here and ask ourselves the question, do you quit a job like that just because of moral conundrum? Do you quit it in that manner just because, suddenly you had a pang of guilt because of a bloodless invasion into Crimea by by President Putin? Come on, man. God bless you, Liz Wall. I wish you the best of luck, but let's face it, you hightailed it over to CNN so Anderson Cooper could interview you about it. You're a U.S. News reporter working for a Russian news organization that I'm going to assume is looking for a way in to the bigs, if you will, CNN, Fox, whatever the case is. And maybe this is why it's an on-air type of thing. Now, that being said, that's complete speculation on my part. And if you're offended, Liz Wall, by that, I apologize. But I'm just calling it the way I see it. A simple letter and not showing up the next day is every bit as effective, and it handles any internal dilemma that she might have had. I'm going to finish it with this. I've been on, like I said, Liz has interviewed me 3-4 times maybe, and I've been on RT 30 times maybe in the last couple of years, maybe more than that. And either video interviews or written interviews or telephone interviews. I'm going to tell you this for a fact. This I know, right? All the interviews, all the producers I've talked to, and every time you're in an interview, you're talking to at least 2 producers. So let's call it 100 producers, 50 news presenters, both RT America and RT Russia, out of Moscow and out of Washington. All of these interviews, right, and all these people I've spoke to and corresponded with Russia Today, not one single time was I ever led in a direction in a conversation or an interview. Not one single time was I asked my opinion up front. Not one time. They didn't know what I was going to say. The only thing that was ever shared between me and RT, right, between the interviewer and the interviewee, was the topic. That is it. So, I'm going to speak to what I know, and what I know is this. If they call me up and I go on there, they are not going to ask me what my answers are going to be ahead of time, and they certainly are not going to lead me in one direction or another. But I'm not an idiot, all right? I get who funds it. Just like other news organizations around this world that are funded by their government. But let's make it real clear. Our media is absolutely every bit as much controlled, even worse in our case, I believe, because we have this illusion of independent, free-thinking, honest reporting media. She runs over to CNN, Anderson Cooper, right? We all remember the poor guy that was under attack, but he was standing there smoking a cigarette, laughing around because he didn't know the camera was still on in the middle of Benghazi or in the middle of Syria. Or the case go on and on and on, where our establishment media bend over backwards to lie to the American people to get them into war after war after war. That's not rationalizing what's going on in Crimea, what's going on with Putin, or trying to explain anything other than reality as it is. I love RT for one reason and one reason only. They are not afraid to get people such as myself, just regular people that come on there and talk about the conditions of our country and collusion and corruption in our country the way we see it. You're never going to see Anderson Cooper coming to interview that kind of an individual. He'll wait till it's shock and awe when somebody like Liz Wall leaves the institute or leaves that organization, and then suddenly it's a news story. You know what? Like I said, I'm not an apologist for RT. I like what they do. I like the information that they put out, and I know a lot of you do as well. The motivations for Liz Wall, she will only know. I can only tell you what I speculate on, which is she's looking for a career change. And she made a pretty bold statement, and my hat's off to her. 6+ million views on that alone. So, all right, there's my take on it, and I hope that clears up the whole RT Liz Wall situation. We'll talk to you guys soon. That's all I got.